Okay, so we're back here with AbraSilver, and last time we did the sort of public update, I guess I spoke with you on earlier this year, maybe in April last, but last time we did it public, it was in April last year. So since then, you have basically 5 or 6x. You're now a $1 billion Canadian company market cap, which is nothing else than an excellent success here. And there's been a bunch of stuff since then, so we won't go through all the way back to that time. But
Sure.
basically, for the year, recent highlight is the updated resource, which has been the culmination here, obviously. 199 million ounces of silver, 1.7 million ounces of gold in measured and indicated, over 104 million tons, so equates to an average grade of 59 grams silver, 0.51 grams of gold, and that's all. So the tank leach open pitable resource. So very, very impressive. The market liked that, obviously, looking at the valuation, and it should. You've also had porphyry discoveries, more sort of super exploration results at Diablillos as well. So there's a lot of things to go through for us now. But I think just to take stock of the year so far, in your own words, John, can you just summarize what you've been able to do so up until this point this year? No forward looking.
Great. Perfect. Well, first off, thanks very much for inviting me back. As you say, it's been quite a while, and I think lots to lots to talk about here today with you, as we've made significant progress, as you mentioned, since our last interview here. So yeah, going back, I guess late last year again, the pre-feasibility study was certainly a major catalyst for us. We announced the updated pre-feasibility study for this project in December. So very, very late in 2024, we announced that just before year end. Shows the robustness of this project, and this was based on the resource estimate at that time, which, as you mentioned, just a few months ago, we announced a significant increase to the resource. But based on the old resource estimate, this proves to be a very, very robust project. And importantly, when you look at the commodity price assumptions that we used for that study, and you compare them to the backdrop that we're facing today, it's extremely, extremely conservative price assumptions. We used just barely over $25 silver and just about $2,000 gold. And so obviously both silver and gold prices have appreciated significantly from those levels. But even at those levels, this project has over $1 billion Canadian net present value, a very rapid 2-year payback, roughly a 30% after tax rate of return. So we've, with that study, we've shown we already have a very, very robust project. But we've always been mentioning that, at the time of the study, there's still significant exploration upside. And then we've proven that again, sort of with the latest resource estimate update. So in July of this year, just a few months ago, as you mentioned, we announced yet another resource estimate. And we took the resource in the measured and indicated category from just over 250 million ounces silver equivalent to now we're sitting at 350 million ounces silver equivalent. So a major, major increase. We added about 50 million ounces of silver, about 300,000 ounces of gold, roughly. And so, the project continues to grow. We continue to de-risk it. We continue to move it forward. At the same time as we're adding value, of course, the landscape in Argentina has improved significantly. We can talk about RIGI, I'm sure. So that's moving in our favor. And of course, gold and silver prices doing extremely well. Really puts us in a wonderful, wonderful position as we look forward here to just continue to advance this project, de-risk it, and add value for our shareholders.
Yeah, perfect. You dig in on some of the points of the events that have taken place. You had a very big financing. Of course, we spoke basically right after that, but it closed in February. It's always good to check in. I mean, that was a $2.55 CAD. You're more than double the share price since then in the public market.
Yes.
So now sitting at over 6. But that was 60 million CAD. Who participated in financing? Always good to check in, sort of who the people were or who the groups were who came in and financed you.
Yeah. So it was 2 parallel financings done at the same time. And so one was our strategic investors, so Central Puerto, which is the largest utility company in Argentina, and Kinross. So both of those firms invested in us last year for the first time in 2024.
Yeah.
And they had a right to participate in every financing. And so we announced a bought deal which was very, very successful, of course. A number of high quality, large scale institutional investors invested in that. That was very well oversubscribed, but we capped that bought deal to $30 million Canadian. And then at the same time, Central Puerto elected to increase their stake. So from 4% that they held, increasing that up to 9.9%. So they're currently our largest shareholder. And Kinross elected to maintain their 4% interest level as well. And so, I think when you look at the share registry again, right now, we've really done, I think, a great job cleaning up the share registry with the rollback we did quite a few years ago. So now we have just over 150 million shares outstanding, no warrants whatsoever. And so, top 25% of our shares are held by Central Puerto, obviously a strategic investor, Eric Sprott, who's been a strategic investor almost from day one now, Kinross, and management and the board. And so combined, we own a quarter of the company. And then, a number of large institutional investors, and obviously we have an excellent retail following as well. And so they cumulatively own the remaining 3/4 of the outstanding shares. So I think we're very, very strong, supportive shareholders, strategic shareholders, holding a big stake in the company, and obviously they're focused, as management is very, very much aligned here to create maximum value for our shareholders by moving this project forward.
One more thing that we should dig into before we move on to sort of next steps and forward looking is just to clarify. So the cutoff for the latest mineral resource, which is very recent, what sort of date was that? When did you cut off the drilling? Because you've been doing drilling, you announced the phase 5 drilling, I think in April or May, after the financing. So when was the cutoff for the updated resource?
Yeah. So none of the phase 5 is really included in that resource estimate. So since the resource estimate was announced, I think we've started this phase 5 program. Yep. And so that's another 20,000 meters. That's well underway now. It's really focused on, again, continuing to extend the high grade, particularly the high grade gold mineralization that we have at Oculto. Yes, and so we've announced quite a few holes. So I think the final hole that was included in the resource estimate was announced earlier. That was hole 24, which was at high grade. It was actually the highest ever gold intercept that we've encountered on this project. So it was 30 meters, 10 grams per ton of gold. So that was the cutoff. Anything since then that we've been drilling is part of, obviously, phase 5 and will be part of another updated resource estimate next year. And so now really the priorities continue to extend. We're not focused on infill drilling. We're focused on expanding and extending the existing mineralization. And again, particularly looking at higher grade ounces. So that's how we're going to add the most value here. And really it's mostly gold focused. So at Oculto, looking at drilling the high-grade gold extension, the continuation of that hole 24, which really changed the focus of the exploration program. And then we're also doing some step-out drilling some of the porphyry targets that we have here. And again, I think, if there's any discoveries there, that could, again, be a game changer for the company. So there's a lot of blue sky exploration upside. And we're obviously focused on that with the 3 drill rigs that we have actively exploring. And that's going to lead to another resource estimate, we expect likely by the middle of next year.
Okay, and we'll continue our conversation, but at the end, we'll have a thorough walkthrough with David to dig into all of these things in detail from a geological point of view, and we look forward to that. But yes. One brief one. You bought out EMX royalty for $6.8 million US. With that in mind, obviously people can see your Q2 financials, but right now, what do you think is the approximate cash balance at this point?
So at the end of Q2, we had roughly 40 million or 42 million Canadian in the bank. And so, obviously we're spending with exploration and the feasibility study ongoing. I'd say roughly right now we have, over $35 million in the bank. So importantly, we're fully funded with the financing that we did earlier this year. I think we have a very, very strong balance sheet, fully funded to complete all of the key upcoming milestones that we have on the horizon here. So really, again, I think we're in a great position. It really enables us to advance aggressively here without being dependent on short-term financing windows. And so even though the share price is doing well, I think we're in a good position, not looking to raise more cash at this stage, and obviously focused on delivering the milestones. So again, I think we're in a very, very strong position, no debt. And as you mentioned, so we didn't buy out the royalties. So EMX still has a 1% royalty. We don't have any buyback rights on that. But we made the final milestone payment as part of the purchase agreement. So we now fully own 100% of Diablillos. There's no more milestone payments. It's only subject to a 1% NSR. And we're fully funded to take this towards a construction decision by the middle of next year.
Okay, so let's just sort of start high level, refresh everyone on the key advancement milestones for Diablillos. So from now basically to the end of 26, in this time frame, what are the activities you want to get done, the key things? When approximately in time do you expect them to get done, and what's the sequencing?
Yeah,
start there.
Perfect. Yeah. So really 3 key deliverables that are, sort of the final 3 puzzle pieces here that we're working to put in place. In parallel, exploration obviously continues to be the focus. So the exploration teams continue to expand. So that's going on in parallel. But to take this project now to a construction decision, we obviously already have a large resource. So any exploration is just further upside. But in parallel, to take this to a construction decision, there's really 3 key deliverables that we're focused on. And each of those will be announced, all 3 of those will be announced by early 2026. So really an exciting, a couple quarters ahead of us here. So first and foremost, the permits. I think we're very fortunate being in Salta in Argentina. As always, the province has a very, very strong track record of delivering timely permits. I think for us, again, we're in a fortunate position. We have very strong community relations, very good track record in the region, have excellent relationships with all the communities, etc. So very, very strong support. And so we're in the final stages, I would say, of the EIA permit approval. So we submitted those permits about a year ago, 12 months ago now, in September of 2024. And we expect well before year end here, we should receive approval on the EIA side. And so that's the overarching environmental permit. Once you have that, there's a few sectoral permits that you need to apply for, but those are essential, rubber stamping that you need to apply for a few permits. So this is the key permit that we expect to receive within the next few months. And so that's certainly a very, very major milestone for us. And of course, as soon as we have that permit, we'll be making that announcement. The second key thing now, we can talk about RIGI in more details, but Argentina introduced this new large-scale incentive regime to attract new investments, and that's only open for a limited time. So the application for RIGI needs to be made before July of 2026.
Yes.
So we're already well advanced on our application. We'll be submitting that before year end as well. And we expect to receive RIGI approval in Q1 of 2026. And again, we can go in more detail on that if you like, but it's essentially gives us sort of a 30-year stability agreement, which locks in your taxes, locks in your royalties, your export duties, etc. And so that's key. You obviously need RIGI to be in hand before you can start construction. So again, in Q1, we expect to have that completed. And then the last piece of the puzzle here is the final feasibility study that our team's working on. I mentioned we announced the pre-fees. We know the economics are robust. Now the feasibility study is going to be based on the new larger resource, and we're finalizing that as well. And so in early 2026, we expect to announce that study. And importantly, again, the team's really advancing there's, different levels of feasibility study. I mean, there's feasibility studies that, sort of paper studies that some companies intend to kind of put on the shelf. For us, it's really a feasibility study plus. It's kind of a feasibility study that we're building that could immediately become a shovel-ready plan designed to be executed. So it's really, again, looking to complete that study and then be in a position where this project's ready to be built immediately with no gaps or delays. And so obviously once we have financing in place, you can start construction, and looking then, to declare a construction decision for sure in 2026. So very exciting here over the last 12 months. Sort of the final puzzle pieces are falling into place. And then this project, by this time next year, should certainly be, shovel ready with construction commenced by this time.
So EIA first, then RIGI announcement of you being accepted into that program, then DFS, then updated resource. So I understand that the updated resource will not actually. So basically, the phase five drilling, most of that will not actually go into the DFS. This will be sort of a sweetener afterwards.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, when we announce the DFS, I mean, if we have the updated resource around that time, we could say, look, this is additional upside to the DFS.
Yeah.
Again, the way we see this project is essentially, I mean, I think based on the resource estimate here that we announced, we expect roughly a 20-year mine life. And again, with all of the phase 5 drilling, that's going to continue to expand here is certainly our expectations. And so the DFS is really based, like we see this as a phase 1 to this project. There's certainly significant potential here to expand the mine, or, obviously through exploration, continue to extend the mine life. And so, yeah, what we're preparing here is, the plan that we see immediately being shovel ready, looking to build the mine, and obviously under RIGI meet the RIGI requirements as well. But there's certainly potential here to, significantly increase the plant throughput. There's also potential for heap leach that could come into the mine plan here down the road. So there's still significant upside potential beyond what's going to be shown in the fees. But, I think the fees is going to show that this is, again, extremely robust economics. We want to move this towards construction here as quickly as possible here. And so, yeah, I think we're advancing things in parallel. So while we're working on the DFS, we're still looking at some of those upside opportunities, and those could come into the mine plan sort of later on down the road.
Yeah. So I guess let's dig into some questions on each of these key items. Just to clarify, RIGI, more of a reminder for people how significant that is. You did in your PFS outline a scenario to showcase the impact in the PFS scenario. And just remind everyone how much the NAV was impacted by the RIGI scenario being active in the PFS.
Yeah. So again, just to take a step back. So last year, I guess in 2024, President Javier Milei introduced this new large-scale incentive regime. It's known by the acronym RIGI, RIGI. And for us, it's absolutely transformative for our company. It's hard to overstate the importance of this. It's truly so it's a large incentive regime in Argentina. And it's essentially like a stimulus bill, near-term stimulus bill meant to attract new investments. And the way they're doing that is they're offering long-term tax stability incentives, export flexibility, removing all foreign exchange restrictions. So the government is clearly looking to compete for globally for capital, and again gives us tremendous tailwind here as we're advancing our project forward, looking to develop a world-class silver gold mine. We are the only project in Argentina on the silver side that's able to meet the RIGI timelines here and advance a primary silver project towards a construction decision. And so we're in a very, very fortunate position. And so once you're, to qualify for RIGI, you have to spend over $200 million, which we'll certainly do. Our CapEx was over $500 million in the pre-feasibility study. And then from the date of your approval, you have to invest over $80 million within 2 years. And so that's why it's key for us to get construction permits in place with the EIA, get financing lined up here for a construction decision, and then have a plan to be able to execute. And so declare a construction decision in 2026 and obviously start building this project. So we'll have 2 years from the time our RIGI application is approved, which we expect is in Q1 of 2026. So we'll essentially have until Q1 2028 to spend a minimum of $80 million through construction. And once you do that, again, you lock in for over a 30-year period, lower tax rates. Your taxes are 25% for that 30 years instead of the current tax rate of 35%. They're eliminating all export duties. Yep. Right now, if you're exporting gold outside of the country, you're paying 8%. And for silver, it's 4.5%. Those go to zero. And importantly, they're removing all foreign exchange restrictions, which has significantly hindered investments historically from Argentina. That's always been one of the major hurdles. It's sort of the FX regime with the historical restrictions in place has certainly limited investments from moving forward. Now under RIGI, there will be no more foreign exchange restrictions for that 30-year period. And so when we looked at the economics, again, based on $25 silver, $2,000 gold, the savings, I mean, prior to RIGI, we would have been spending roughly $1 billion on taxes, royalties, export duties over the life of mine. Under RIGI, that number was reduced by over 40%. So I think we saved over $400 million in tax savings, and again, the elimination of export duties, et cetera. And that was based on 25 silver, $2,000 gold. At current spot prices, we've rerun the economics, and the RIGI savings alone are well over $1 billion US. So significantly more than our entire market cap. So again, I think we're in a fortunate position, advancing this project in the right place at the right time with RIGI. It's a no-brainer. This project's moving forward here. And so that's why we're laser focused on moving this forward as quickly as possible, qualifying for RIGI, and going to have a very, very profitable operation here in the near term.
Yeah, no more to say there. I mean, I guess, reminder, it will be even more extreme in the DFS because you will probably upscale the operation. So the profit will be even more significant. And since the tax rate is so markant, the net income increases a lot. Disproportionately, obviously. So that it's a very big deal.
Yes.
I guess so that's the RIGI. The new resource is going to be after we establish that. The DFS, we need to dig into a few more things. But I should ask. Let's just go to the DFS right now. So the expected changes between the PFS, DFS. The obvious one is the resource is a lot bigger, as been established now. Can you outline sort of what you think? I mean, you said that you expect a 20-year mine life. The implication is that the throughput will expand fairly significantly. But what do you think are the key design changes, and what should investors have in mind?
Yeah. No, so in fact, so we're keeping the throughput the same as the pre-feasibility study. And again, I think the reason for that is for the permit, the EIA application has already been submitted. We submitted that last year based on the pre-feasibility study. And so it's 9,000 tons per day. And so we're keeping the feasibility study at 9,000 tons per day again. So no major design changes. Like when you're looking at the plant, it's essentially identical as the pre-feasibility study. The DFS is obviously going to be a lot more detailed. Engineering is going into this. There's more met test work being done. So you're just validating the pre-feasibility study to the next level of detail here. We'll be basing this on the larger resource, of course, which will extend the mine life. But there's 3 key sort of optimization opportunities that were identified in the pre-feasibility study that we're now looking to incorporate into this study. And all of these are very significant opportunities to further improve the value here. So as a reminder, in the pre-feasibility study, we assumed we would build a 20 megawatt solar plant with diesel generators running as baseload power. So that was quite expensive. So about $60 million of our initial CapEx was based on sort of the power solution there. Now, our largest shareholder, Central Puerto, is looking to connect, or expand the national grid through our project. And so looking to make a significant investment in Salta, connect our project and a number of the lithium projects around us to grid power. And so they're advancing that, and they're moving that forward under RIGI as well. And so RIGI applies for all industries in Argentina. And so you're seeing, again, billions and billions of dollars of new investments moving forward, including potentially this connection to the grid power for us. So that would be extremely beneficial. So if we have the grid power in place, that saves us the $60 million of CapEx. Of course, there's no need for us to build our own power solution. And the operating costs, I mean, we've estimated that we would save roughly $15 million per year on average. And again, if you're looking at a 20-year mine life, you can do the math. It's about $300 million savings over the life of mine. So very, very significant opportunity there. That's being finalized, and obviously we're looking to hopefully have an agreement in place before the feasibility study, so we can incorporate that into the study. That should obviously boost the economics. The second key thing is that we're looking. So again, in the study, we had assumed we would own or operate all of the mining activities, so including waste movement. So we're looking to purchase a number of Caterpillar trucks. Now we're looking to outsource the waste movement to a contract miner. We think it's a lot more efficient. Having a contract miner come in, do the waste movement requires us to purchase fewer trucks up front. And we estimate that roughly $40 million or so of capital costs could be saved by reducing the fleet required up front. And we're also looking to purchase larger trucks as well. So fewer trucks, larger capacity there. So that's another major savings that we'll look to incorporate into the fees. And then finally, the last one is we're looking to relocate a large portion of the waste dump facility that we had planned. Previously, it was a large significant upward haul. So as you're moving waste, sort of the waste dump location was not ideal in the pre-feasibility study. And so we were looking to haul that waste to sort of towards the east there of the design. And so now we're looking to take that same waste, put it closer to the tailings facility, which is a downward haul, and that will actually act as a buttress to the tailings. So dual purpose there, makes the tailings much safer. You'll essentially have over 100 million tons of waste up against the tailings, which eliminates any possible tailings failures here. So it makes the project safer. And because it's a closer distance and downward haul, we've estimated it could save us roughly $90 million over the life of mine by having the waste in a more ideal location. So we're finalizing that as well. We have a tailing specialist engineering firm looking into that, and we expect that design will be incorporated in the feasibility study. So those are the three changes. But other than that, again, it's going to be largely similar to the pre-fees. And as I mentioned, we see this essentially as a phase one. So there's still significant opportunity to potentially extend or expand the plant capacity. We're leaving that in the plans, making sure there's the real estate available. If we want to do an expansion to the plant design, we're not going to be limited. There's potential to bring in heap leach as well. We'll do a study later on next year to review that. So there's still lots of upside, but we want to move this project forward as quickly as possible. So taking the pre-fees, adding in a couple of these significant enhancements, and then announcing those again next year, so we can start construction.
So you're saying basically $1 million in upfront capex savings and about 400 million in slashing through life of mine in operating expenditure with these savings.
Right. Yeah. Very, very significant for sure.
Yeah. So I guess one question with the power savings. So will you expect to announce that before the DFS, and then thus being able to officially incorporate the not building your own solar plant with diesel generators essentially, instead of having grid to power. But do you think it's feasible for Central Puerto to actually, accomplish this in your own construction timeline? Is that realistic?
Yes. Yeah. So again, Central Puerto is doing a feasibility study on their grid power extension. And right now we're in discussions with them, of course, trying to discuss potential terms here. But they are looking to move that forward under RIGI. And so again, RIGI currently expires in July of 2026.
Yeah.
And so they're looking for RIGI approval for that as well. And so I'm assuming they'll be submitting their RIGI application on that shortly. Once they have approval, again, they have to spend a minimum of $80 million within 2 years of RIGI approval. And so, yeah, you're seeing projects, not just mining projects, but, a whole bunch of infrastructure projects, et cetera, moving forward at the same time here in Argentina. And I think, roughly our expectation is that grid power extension could take 2 years to be completed. Right. So once they start construction there, it should be up and ready before Diablillos is in operation. So timing works out perfectly for us. But yeah, it's still subject to, obviously, it's not us making the decision. It's actually a joint venture between Central Puerto, which is a publicly traded company, so people can look them up on their website. They've announced the plans there, and I think the grid power extension is a joint venture between them and YPF, the major oil and gas producer in Argentina. So they'll be announcing details once they have their study finalized and once they've made a construction decision. Certainly, we'll, on our side, once we have an agreement in place, we'll incorporate those details and announce them as needed. But yeah, I think our expectation is that the new economics should be reflected for sure in our feasibility study.
And just a quick reminder, what was the CapEx in the PFS, total project CapEx?
For the entire project, was $540 million US.
Right. So you expect, and this is obviously preliminary now, but you're expecting that to be reduced by $100 million, at least from those items. But perhaps, are there anything else that could increase slightly? Generally, I mean, general sort of operating assumptions, input costs and so on. What would you expect?
Yeah. So we'll be updating all of the capex. I mean, for sure, just like anywhere else in the world. I mean, Argentina continues to have inflationary pressures. So some of the savings will be offset, I would expect, by some of the inflationary pressures we've been seeing. But yeah, our expectation is that capex should hopefully be in that same range, sort of in the 500 millions. So with some of the savings up front, would offset some of the inflationary pressures we're seeing across the board. So yeah, no, we think this is certainly a financeable project for a project of this size, this scale. Again, you're going to have a very, very short payback period here. So yeah, we're updating all those figures, and those will be obviously ready for next year.
So again, DFS is expected sometime in Q2 next year, probably early Q2. Sounds like
Q1 or Q2. Yeah, certainly in the first half of next year. So we're working towards that timeline.
Then you have the EIA, you have the RIGI approval. So then, is there anything else you want to get done before heading into financing, or sort of putting that together?
No, those are the three key. And then obviously the drill results again. So our 20,000 meter drill program, phase 5, that will be wrapped up, likely by January or so. So very early next year, we'll wrap up sort of the 20,000 meter drill program. We'll have the EIA approval. We would have submitted RIGI. And so then you're, working in parallel to complete the feasibility study early next year, get RIGI approval, announce another updated resource estimate, and then, take this project to the next stage, which is a construction decision.
Right. And the financing, how are you thinking about it at this stage? I mean, obviously the value of the equity here is very respectable. So being able to raise the funds to provide the equity component of financing is now fully realistic.
Yes.
But what's your thinking? What's the levers you can pull on?
Yeah, no. So again, we're evaluating those options as well in parallel. I think I think sort of being in this very positive environment with rising gold and silver prices, Argentina now sort of attracting investments from major mining companies as well. Really puts us in a great position. We have lots of options open and available to us. So yeah, on this, on the one side, I mean, we're seeing encouraging levels of interest, I'd say, from major mining companies, institutional investors globally. So new groups are actively looking to increase their exposure to Argentina, and potentially see our project as a great fit. So we'll obviously have those discussions, and then in parallel, on our side, with RIGI, really opens up potential for debt financing for a project such as this, and so we're evaluating those options as well. So it'd be your typical combination of debt, equity. There's also potential for a streaming deal here as well. The economics are just over 55% silver, 45% gold. So we could do a gold stream, or we could do a silver stream, or a combination of the two. So again, there's lots of alternatives. We're very busy sort of evaluating these things in parallel. But yeah, I think our timeline is by this time next year, have that financing secured to enable us to then start construction. So we've got another 12 months to sort of evaluate all those options. And yeah, I think the focus is having the financing in place. But as you mentioned, it's very realistic. In fact, we have lots of options available. So need to explore those all thoroughly. And at the end of the day, we're going to pursue the path, I'd say, that delivers the most value for shareholders. It's plain and simple. And so that's always the lens that we view this. So whatever delivers the value for shareholders is the path forward for us.
Right. And then just again, a quick reminder. So let's say that you finance by this time next year. So basically, say August, September. So getting into Q3, somewhere around there, or sort of halfway through Q3. From that point in time, what do you think is the time to get into production essentially, or get to commissioning of the mill? Is it 2 years out?
So it's roughly 2.5 years from start to finish construction. So by 2029 is sort of first gold and silver pour expected at this project.
Okay, that's good to sort of remind where that's at. But obviously, I mean, my personal expectation, you're a deal maker by track record, so I would expect this to be sold. But obviously, with your current position, and that's why it's going to be sold, because people know that you can actually build this yourself as well. So you have a good negotiating position. So that's just a comment from my end. But one thing that I should ask as well: what is the budget required? And if we only look at what's required to get the Diablillos to the station, no discretionary spending, I guess, spending on drilling the Porphyry target or doing other things. What's the required budget to get to the stage where you're fully financed? So let's say September, August next year, ballpark. What do you have in mind?
Yeah. So yeah, with the current cash position, again, we're more than fully financed. So the total budget for the pre-feasibility study was $10 million US. And of course, we're about a third completed. So maybe about 2/3 of that is still remaining. Same with the exploration program. The 20,000 meters, roughly $10 million US there. And again, that's over a third completed right now. So well less than $10 million ahead of us. So those are really the two main sort of budget items that we have. Obviously, the feasibility study and the exploration, and then our G&A continues to be very, very low. And so with that, more than enough with the current $35 million Canadian that we have in place. We're more than fully financed to take this to the construction decision stage next year.
Yeah. Unless you choose not to do some spend in the meantime, we need to top up. Probably it doesn't seem reasonable that would happen.
But I'd say right now we're laser focused on Diablillos. I mean, we have phenomenal opportunity ahead of us here to advance this world-class project. We have not seen any other projects near the quality of what we already have. So we've evaluated a few things that, myself and the board have turned down all the opportunities. It's really hard to justify acquiring something else and then spending money on that when it's not as good as what you already have. I mean, it just, I think we're in a position where we have literally the largest, largest silver project in the world that's advancing within 12 months, can make a construction decision. So we're not seeing anything else out there that would, at this time, make us put us in a position to acquire that and justify spending money on new opportunities. So I think right now, really laser focus, advancing Diablillos, getting that to construction decision. And yeah, ultimately, it'd be nice to have a pipeline of projects. So again, we're looking for early stage opportunities. If there's some exploration concessions, et cetera, that we can pick up, could help, obviously, keep our exploration team busy as we get to the construction decision stage here. But right now, yeah, I wouldn't expect any major sort of acquisitions from us in the near term.
That makes sense. But you sort of around the Diablillos, obviously you guys have porphyry potential there. It's sort of an epithermal porphyry environment. Is this something that you're pursuing? I presume you're allocating
Yes.
some amount of budget, a few $1 million to it, but
Yes. Yeah. So that's important. So that's almost within the Diablillos land package. We almost have a second project that we haven't even explored yet, or only a few holes here. So there is to about 4 kilometers to the northeast of Oculto. We have this porphyry system, the Cerro Viejo, Cerro Blanco targets. We're drilling as we speak. We're drilling a deep hole into that. We'll be drilling at least 2 deep holes this year, waiting to get back those results. And of course, if those results are encouraging, then for sure we'll give the green light for the exploration team to continue to actively drill there and hopefully prove out a large porphyry system, within trucking distance of Oculto. And so that's the ideal. So yeah, as you mentioned, we already have a second project that we fully own. So yeah, absolutely. We're taking a phased approach there. Let's get back the results from the 2 holes. Let's see what we have, and then figure out the plan for next year to be drilling that. So again, I think some great untested exploration upside that we have at our site, and certainly we're more than happy to invest in those types of opportunities. And just blue sky for our investors to continue to grow the resource that we have.
because it is sort of an opportunity where you have this low cost of capital now compared to many other groups out there. You have a good team, so if you guys are sold, it is useful for existing shareholders as well to take advantage of an opportunity now where you seed new projects into Abra and you sell the main gold, silver, epithermal deposit, let someone else build it potentially, and then you have maybe you maintain a porphyry discovery right next door, or maybe you have something else. It was sort of along those lines I was thinking.
Yes, yeah, strategically that makes perfect sense. I fully agree.
Okay, so we'll hand it over to David, and we'll dig into the advancement at La Coipita. The porphyry drilling you're doing 100% close to the Diablillos, and all of the exploration success at the planned mine.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Gordon. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're back here with Mr. David O'Connor, and we just chatted with Jon, obviously, and now we're just going to dig into some of the details of the drilling work that's being done in Phase 5 here. So I guess, first of all, David, we can just start with what work has taken place at Diablillos sort of post-resource, or if you just summarize how much work has not sort of been reflected in the updated resource that's outstanding currently. I guess reflected in drill meters and where you've done that work since the resource, or the cutoff of the resource, rather.
Yeah, well, you know that we're on phase 5. Phase 5 was a 20,000 meter program.
Yeah.
And we drilled Jack. We did a resource estimate including Jack and Oculto, and decided to then expand. Jack is the southwestern part of the system, and we've decided now to continue where we left off before we discovered Jack, in the northeastern part of the system, which is now called Oculto East. Yeah, there you go. So we're drilling at Oculto East. We had that very good intercept, which we announced, of 30 meters of 10 grams. And we are following that up with a series of programs. We've had 3 drill rigs operating in Oculto East. It's a bit of a traffic jam up there now because of the access roads. And we've got, I think, 9 holes in the pipeline waiting for results that we've completed and waiting for results. So we're drilling now to see how far towards the northeast of Oculto, the resource extends. We were drilling there before we discovered Jack. Once we discovered Jack, which was high grade and shallow, we moved all the rigs down to Jack. But now we've gone back to where we were, Oculto East. Now, at Oculto East, it's a gold dominant part of the system. There's what's called the deep gold zone at a relative level, RL of 4,100 meters plus or minus 50 meters, and that extends towards the northeast. But as you can see, the topography also rises towards the northeast. So what we're doing as well is to try and expand or search for shallower mineralization as well in Oculto northeast so that we can expand the pit in that direction. Now, this hole number 10 was on the margin of the conceptual pit, and there you go. And so that expands the resource towards the right-hand side of the page, in other words, towards the northeast. And that's where we're drilling now. And as I say, we've made a subsequent announcement, and we've got several holes at the laboratory waiting for results.
These are all step-out.
These are all step-out holes, yes. Consider there's two main directions. There's a direction east-west, directly east of Oculto, which is one of the structural directions we're following. And there's another direction northeast. And we're following both of those mineralized structures to see which one comes up with the best results. And right now, as I say, we've got a lot of holes in the laboratory. So we've taken 2 rigs off of there. We had 3 rigs on there. We've taken 2 rigs off because we're getting way ahead of ourselves. We put 1 rig on drilling Cerro Viejo, the porphyry, which you can, it's Cerro Blanco actually, which is north of Cerro Viejo, which is the porphyry target. And we've also got the other rig on exploring for water. We're expanding our knowledge of the water resource. I'm not saying we're expanding the resource yet, but we're expanding our knowledge of the aquifers.
Okay, that's basically geotechnical engineering, DFS type work, basically.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been doing the yak work. We've seen some very promising indications here at the Coipita East, obviously, and these holes. You have 2 press releases in the last, I guess, 4 or 5 months, and you have a decent amount of holes outstanding. What's your interpretation of these 2 vectors you're getting? What do you think the scale could be if you extrapolate in your mind?
Well, what we do know is from previous drilling that we did and historical drilling that the mineralization continues for several hundred meters in that direction, which is expected because we think that Oculto, according to the interpretations of Dick Silito, the porphyry expert, the progenitor porphyry intrusion is directly beneath Oculto. The fluids, the hydrothermal fluids emanated upwards from that porphyry underneath Oculto. And if you look at Oculto, which is the center of the system, the end of Jack, or the end so far that we know of Jack, is 1.5 kilometers southwest of the center. So there's no reason why it shouldn't extend. I'm not going to say 1.5 kilometers from Oculto, but at least several hundred meters beyond Oculto towards the northeast. We know that from drilling anyway. It's just that it's broad-spaced reconnaissance drilling that we're following up on.
And you're focused here initially on these 2 targets here, and now you're moving. Do you say 2 rigs up towards the north and testing some of these peripheral targets, more porphyry-style targets?
Yes, 1 rig. We're moving 1. We've got 1 rig drilling now at what's called Cerro Blanco, which is where all the various experts have suggested is the best place to look for a porphyry. We're drilling 1 hole there now. We're down at around about 150 meters today, I think. And we plan 2 holes. Now, we've got Richard Silito, the expert, coming out in a couple of weeks to wave his magic wand over it and tell us where we're going wrong, basically.
That sounds good. So we can expect to know something about that probably 2 months from now, I guess. At least
well, these are pretty deep holes. They're getting on for 1 kilometer, depending on what we find. Of course, if it's looking good, we continue drilling. That's the reality of it. If we're down at 1 kilometer and the mineralization looks good, of course we continue. For example, at La Coipita, our holes there were 1.2 kilometers deep.
Yeah. But of the 20,000 meter plan program, David, how many meters have you completed now?
We've now done about 11,500 meters.
Okay, so you're on pace to be wrapped up before year end, basically, or very early next year.
Definitely. We'll finish drilling. We won't get all the results back, but we'll finish. Well, we may get the results back by the end of the year. There's only, after all, there's only 4 months left.
Yeah, that's right. But around Oculto, are you now drilling with the 2 other rigs, or are they waiting to get results to then more optimally follow up, or what's the?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've decided not to continue at Oculto East because we're sort of drilling blind. The rocks look good, but until you've got the analyses, you don't know how good they are. So it's crazy to drill until you've got the results back to show you which way you should be drilling. So we've decided to give that a bit of a rest, drill for the Porphyry, drill 2 deep holes for the Porphyry, and we'll still have 1 rig going at Oculto East, but we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, basically.
Okay, but Oculto East, is this looking to be a bit of a deeper target, or do you think you can follow the sort of the dip upwards and find something more shallow, or what's your read on it?
Well, what we're finding, which we didn't know before, which we had not intercepted before, is that there is actually a shallower silver zone. You know, there's the deep gold zone, and there's a shallower silver zone, which makes it look a bit more attractive with regards to the stripping ratio. So that we're hoping that continues on.
Okay. And some of these other sort of satellites you have going on there, what planned work do you have for Laderas, Condemnation, Sobra, and so on, or Sombra? Or will you basically, in most likely, just focus on these 2 clusters here, because that's where the vast majority of the potential is?
That's right. Right now we're focusing on Oculto East and the Porphyry target. The others have work to be done, particularly, for example, Sombra, which is south of Oculto, although it's not our priority, because we think that the priority at the moment should be Oculto East, because we think that we have potential for finding significant gold there.
So,
although, Oculto, we don't want to be drilling with too many rigs. That's the trouble. We have 20,000 meters. We want to make sure we drill in the right places, basically.
Do you think that the drilling being done at Oculto has sort of the chance within the confinement of 20,000 meters to get into some sort of resource stage once you update the resource mid next year? Or do you think you would have to expand the program a bit? It
definitely will. It definitely will. I won't say how much, because we're in the middle of drilling, but there's certainly going to be an expansion of the resource towards the northeast.
And then sort of a more of a broad question, since we're in the middle of it, so we can't sort of dig into details too much here. But in your mind, I mean, now you're at a 350 million silver equivalent ounce deposit. This is a very sizable deposit, no doubt. What do you think line of sight could be with the epithermal style mineralization? Do you think this thing can stretch? Does it have legs to stretch significantly beyond this current size in David's mind, or what? How are you thinking around it?
Yes, it can. We know it can. How much is the question? It depends on how much drilling you want to do in Oculto East. I'm certain that it may extend for a half a kilometer towards the north and east of Oculto, where the boundary is now of the projected open pit, and yet that drilling is more complicated because of the terrain, and so we've got to draw a line somewhere, and this is one of the reasons why we're drilling the Porphyry now, to see where our priority should be. If we hit something great on the Porphyry, then that's where we move to. It's a question of where you are better off drilling.
And when you say you believe you have sort of 500 meters east and north from the limits of the Oculto pit, is that based on a structural interpretation, or actually is based on hard drill results you've been able to step out successfully at this point in time?
It's based on historical drill results. When I say historical, it's some results, some drilling that was done prior to us getting involved, and some of our earlier drilling going back 5 years, basically.
Okay. And the So essentially, the first hole is being drilled now on the Porphyry target, Cerro Blanco up to the north. Just a reminder, what's the design of this hole? Obviously, you'll continue as you see promising sort of veins and so on, indications of porphyry, the PXRF. You can see the copper grades, but what's the plan depth?
The porphyry, what we call the porphyry camp, has got two parts to it: Cerro Viejo and Cerro Blanco. They are two parts of the same system. Basically, it's an indication of porphyry, a porphyry system which has it extends 2 kilometers north south and 1.5 kilometers east west, within which there's Cerro Viejo and Cerro Blanco. Now, at Cerro Viejo, we did some drilling. There's outcropping silicious veins at Cerro Viejo, which extend for about 1 kilometer east-west. One of our holes into that hit the epithermal part of the system. We think we've got the root zones of the epithermal system, and then we got 36 meters of 1.91 grams per ton gold, very shallow. So we've drilled some holes around there, but we haven't got the results back yet. The reason we haven't is we put priority on the holes from Oculto East. And so we're sort of overloading the laboratory. But we've drilled 4 holes around hole 45, which got the 36 meters of 1.91 grams gold. And we're waiting for the results. We got the results of one hole back, which we haven't yet announced. So I guess I shouldn't talk about it. But there's a bit of copper enrichment close to the surface, a secondary enriched zone of chalcocite mineralization close to the surface at Cerro Viejo. But we think the better target is Cerro Blanco because of the previous and our surface geochemistry, rock chip sampling and soil sampling, where we've got up to 800 grams per ton molybdenum, we've got up to 2 grams per ton gold, and historical drilling got up to between 0.3 and 0.6% copper in shallow RC holes. That's one of our targets. It's called the Big Black Breccia. That's where we got the interesting results. But subsequently, we've done PEMA testing to determine where the higher temperature clay mineralization is, and it seems to be about 500 meters southwest of the Big Black Breccia, which is where we're drilling now, because that seems to be the hot spot of that system.
Right, and what's your expectation on mineralization? Do you have any sort of strategic information on based on historical holes where you think it's going to be 300 meters down, or is it completely blind in that respect? Best guesses.
The experts that have been there, and there's been a few, the consensus of opinion is that it's around about 500 meters towards the system. So, we're at the base of the epithermal part of the system, which epithermal is above the porphyry at that Cerro Viejo. So at Cerro Viejo, it's probably not much deeper, but at Cerro Blanco, it's probably even shallower. So that's where we're drilling now.
Right.
We'll see what we get. But whatever we get, that 36 meters of 1.91 grams at Cerro Viejo is worth following up on. And as I say, we've drilled a couple of holes, 3 holes, to follow up on that. And we've done surface sampling of the silicious ridges, which go 1 kilometer to the west of Cerro Viejo. And we've got drill targets there. But the drill targets there would be drilling for the shallow holes that would be drilled to test the extent of the epithermal system. But everyone has said that, no, let's just go for the porphyry. If we hit a porphyry, it changes the whole complex of the thing.
So at Cerro Viejo, you say you've intersected this zone, right? I presume that's sort of high sulfidation, more like where you're seeing associated minerals with high sulfidation, or how would you classify it? That gold intercept.
Well, yes, and I sound hesitant. People seem to think it's sort of low, medium sulfidation, not as high sulfidation as at Oculto. And what we're hoping is we've got these silicious ridges, which are, say, a couple of meters thick, in which we've got results of up to 16, 17 grams per ton gold over a meter or two. but that's only over a meter or two. What we want is to see whether there are stockworks between the veins, etc. And we've got drill sites ready for that, for when we finish drilling the porphyry.
So do you feel that is essentially to have a fairly shallow? I presume it's oxidized to some extent in that intercept, the 39 meters at 2 grams or close to 2 grams. Is that oxidized to some, or is it just basically sulfide?
Well, it's sulfides, but we've had testing done on the gold,
Yeah.
and interestingly, a large proportion of the gold is native gold. So there are some of the gold is in pyrite or associated with pyrite, and some of it is native gold. So I don't know what the metallurgy will be, but it's you get into the sulfides pretty quickly,
Right.
which is.
And you drilled 4 or 5 holes around that successful intercept, right? And what's the step out? Sort of what if all of these 4 or 5 holes is successful? What sort of footprint are you showcasing there?
The objective of those holes is to see whether or not how thick is that system? Is it really 36 meters thick, or was that a bit of a fluke? So these holes are only about 50 meters away to see whether or not that continues. If we see it continues, then we're going to step out several hundred meters. Our next target, the best target, based on the content of gold in the system in the silicious zones, is around about 500 meters to the west. And so we haven't. That's the target to drill for the epithermal system. But as I say, we don't know what the thickness is. But if we find a porphyry, of course, we're talking about something which is a whole order of magnitude bigger.
So 500 meters to the west, the sort of gold discovery hole at Viejo is what you're saying, right?
500 meters to the west of hole 45, which got the 36 meters of 1.91 grams.
Okay, that's good. And the I guess there's not too much more to say. We'll see the first porphyry hole, and that will be done in 3 weeks, I presume. What's the advance rate? 30-40 meters per day?
Well, it should be. Although we've had horrible weather, it's been very windy in the last couple of weeks. So when it's very windy, it's too dangerous to be up there with a drill rig. It's amazing how windy it gets. But that season is coming to an end, and we should be able to drill continuously from now onwards. For example, we got 50 meters yesterday. So at first we were going very slowly, but now it's 50 meters a day.
That's good. And at Cerro Viejo, with these outstanding holes, are you 3-4 outstanding holes? You're hoping to follow up there, obviously, based on the results. You have one rig that's not being allocated currently, so
we have the meters to do that. Yes.
And obviously, the one rig is occupied at the east, one is up at testing Cerro Blanco, and one can certainly go back to Viejo in the next few weeks if the results merit it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is there anything more that I have forgotten to sort of poke into about with the sort of drilling that's going on in phase 5, or do you would like to mention?
No, I think that's it. I mean, the focus is Oculto East and Northeast and the porphyry system, and that's it. All the rest of the peripheral targets around Oculto, we've put those on the back burner until we see what's going on in our priority areas.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. We should check in on La Coipita as well. Tech obviously released a very nice intercept here. What's your comments on it? And where are they at now? Are they continuing to follow up on this? Can we see more holes, or what's the status on this discovery?
In our hole number 2, which we drilled in 2022, was it? Anyway, in our hole there, we got an intercept of secondary enriched mineralization chalcocite above the primary copper mineralization. They got a better intercept in the secondary enriched zone as well, and their hope is the secondary enriched zone extends quite some distance on that diagram towards the east. That's where they plan to drill. They plan another how many? Oh, they plan several more holes. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. I don't want to get into trouble with tech, but they plan another drilling campaign starting in supposedly November, depending on the weather.
Okay, and that will be 7 holes. And you said east, that will be just stepping towards hole 7 here, I guess, in this diagram. So
Yes. The main target is to see the extent and thickness of the secondary enriched chalcocite zone.
And do they have sort of what sort of strike to north south? I guess cutting through the diagram here. Do you think that they have, or is it impossible to say anymore?
The north-south extent, well, it's at least half a kilometer, but that's as far as they've drilled, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so they'll get going with that, and I guess we'll know more about that not until sometime in Q1 next year, likely, I presume.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we should leave it at that for now. I don't think we have too much more to discuss. We covered what we need to cover. So, David, we'll see. I'll see you probably early next year when we chat again.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I think we've got a few interesting months ahead of us, basically.
Indeed.